Don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed. Don't ever apologize for your sexuality. Just be you. Sonia DeVille. Welcome to Casa de Confidence, a podcast for you. You'll hear some incredible women
and some awesome, cool dudes
going confidently in the direction of their dreams and living in the purpose of their heart.
You're our host,
Julie DeLucca-Collins, and you are our sidekick. # handsome hot husband.
That again.
And the producer of the show.
That I am.
I am an author, speaker, coach, dreamer, and most of all,
we help people go in the direction of their dreams
and support them on their purpose. So pull up a chair,
grab a drink,
and make yourself at home, because our casa
is your casa. Welcome back to another episode of Casa de Confidence. This is Dan.
And this is Julie.
It's us again.
Us again.
Hey, you know what?
What?
I'm so excited for our guest today. Trish Stoecker, you and her are going to talk about...
Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Mm-hmm.
You don't talk about you and me, though, right?
Well, we could if you want to.
No, during the interview.
I don't know, maybe.
Oh, so tell us a little bit about Trish.
Okay. Trish is an incredible woman that I met through another incredible woman, Pearl Chiarenza. And Trish actually is a retired military woman. She has had an illustrious career in the military, and thank you for your service, Trish. But also, we've grown to have a friendship, and she is my superstar client, A++.
What does she do?
You know, there's something about coaching. When you coach someone, it's not therapy. We don't tell people how they should feel, but we basically ask a lot of questions. And Trish is very ambitious. She has a business, and we're going to talk about her business. But most importantly, what I love about Trish is that she is an action taker. I will say, well, how about we create this strategy for you to make a goal, to create that income? And a lot of times, you know, when we create strategies for our business, we don't take action right away. We kind of like sit in the sidelines thinking, oh, how should I do that? Let me think about it. Well, what if I do that? What if I don't? What if I, blah, blah, blah? You know, a lot of people, and I do it. And in last week's solo episode, I talk about that being one of the habits that we need to break as an entrepreneur. But Trish is really good about executing. You know, I have to say, I'm really proud of her. She had a very audacious goal for her month of March for her business. And that goal was 3 times as much as the income that she made last March. And in the middle of March, she said, when we were having our session, she said, I don't think I'm going to make March. And I said, okay. And I said, well, how far are you? And she said, here. And I said, you know, even if you make that, that's almost twice as much, if not more, of what you made last year. And she said, but I want to make this.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about a plan she implemented, and I'm going to let her talk about her, whether she made the goal or not. So you're going to have to friend her on Facebook and find out whether she made it or not.
Now, you guys want to talk about that in this episode, because this was
pre-recorded
in February.
But the thing about Trish is that she executes. She is incredibly driven by her goals, and at the heart of it, she's got a heart of gold. So
cool.
Really, really proud that, you know, I get to support her and see her thrive. And also the other piece of it, right? And this is the ripple effect. She is impacting the lives of so many women and helping them work through sometimes something that carries a lot of weight, carries a lot of shame, carries a lot of things that we don't want to talk about because our society typically says, oh, you don't talk about that. Don't talk about that. So, and by the way, the quote that I used at the intro, do you know who that is?
No.
You don't know who Sonia Deville is?
No.
I'm really surprised at you, Daniel Collins.
Oh, I know the name. I just don't remember right now who it is.
She is an American professional wrestler and mixed martial artist. She is best known.
No, I did not know.
She is best known for her time in the WWE, where she performed under the ring name Sonia Deville.
That's how I know the name.
I figure you would know her. I mean, you're like a wrestler fan person.
Well, I kind of am, but she wasn't in it at the time that I was watching, I don't think. It's been a long time since I was watching.
You know what I love about this young woman is that she challenges, right, the role of women overall. And, you know, sometimes we get into these boxes of society says, this is where you should be, and this is what you should do. And you should be demure, and you should be a nice little girl and not raise hell and not have an opinion. But ultimately, we are just as competent, as capable, and as gifted as our male counterparts. And I will tell you that a lot of women leaders, right? When a woman is in leadership, and this is a research paper that has been done, that they value work-life balance more, they are more inclusive, they are also more empathetic, they encourage free thinking of their teams, and they focus on teamwork, and they're good at multitasking. They're motivated by challenges, they're strong communicators, and most of all, women dream big, and they can handle crisis in situations well. Women are more impartial. They keep their ego in check, and they have high emotional intelligence, and they have long-term strategic thinking, and they lead by example. They also make their jobs look effortless, and they are hungry for success. And these are some of the qualities that women in leadership tend to have. It's so important. And by the way,
what paper is this?
This is the McKinsey and Company Women's in the Workplace 2023 report. And it underlines part of a consistent underrepresentation of women of color, of course. And there's a lag in women progress in the middle of the pipeline. You know, I see this all the time when I was in my corporate career. A lot of women in that middle pipeline, right? You either had in the lower spectrum of the company or in the higher, but really in the middle, there's a lot of women who are not moving to their next level because there's not a lot of opportunities or because they're lacking the confidence. And there's still a lot of myth that exist about the experiences of women regarding their career advancement. And I want to make sure that through the work that I do in my coaching, that I continue to build opportunities for women to continue to grow to the next level, to continue to shine by example, like Trish does, right? Trish is setting an incredible example. And there's over, I would say, 1.5 million people who rated this study. And a lot of the things that they talk about is that self-awareness, the authenticity, and achieving plus complying, protecting instead of controlling. And I think that, again, let's give women a chance. Let's fight for equal opportunities and continue to highlight the amazing, incredible things that women can accomplish. And Trish and I talk about this in the interview. We talk about some of the ways in which in her military career, she was not giving opportunities. She was maybe passed on for different things. And again, this is not necessarily everybody's experience in the military. It is hers, and it's her story to tell. But Trish has not only gone to overcome some of the challenges that she's encountered in her life, but she's gone on to shine and to create this incredible new chapter for her life, in which she is doing something she loves, she's good at, and something that is also impacting the life of other women in incredibly positive ways.
Cool.
Yeah. So what's up with you, Daniel, today?
What's up with me?
Yeah, what are you up to?
Hey, I am doing work. I'm getting tax stuff done.
Oh, my goodness.
Everybody, tax day is coming up. Don't forget.
It sure is. It sure is.
I mean, it should be done by now, but well,
listen,
things are things.
Things are
It's a lot of moving wheels in the cog of a business.
You think? Oh, my goodness.
So taking care of that today. And as you know, whoever out there has got theirs done, make sure you get done.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, I wanted to say something that is really important. I am working on a new, what would you call that? I guess I'm working on a new solo episode. And here's the thing that I'm going to be discussing about. We sometimes have to see it in order to achieve it. And many of the women that I work with, Trish included, we have to really put ourselves in a position in which we visualize the things that we want to have in our life. And one of the things that a lot of the women that come to work with me, and I was reading about one of my first clients, I was reading about that in my book, Dan. One of my first clients, when she came to me, she didn't think she could make a lot of money because she'd been doing this part-time for over 20 years. And she wanted to be a success, but then her spouse was saying, no, you really can't be doing this full time. You don't have what it takes. And why don't you just go get a job? And we started to really work on what would it be like if that was not true, if she could actually be successful. And we started to really envision. And one of the things that we worked, and this is something that I really am committed to with the work that you and I are doing, right? I don't want women to stress. I don't want women to feel that, it's going to be hard. Will it be hard? Yes, it will, but it's worth it. And in the sense that if you know specifically the road to take, the road may be hard, but you know what it takes to be on that road. Did you understand what I'm saying here? You see what I'm putting out?
You can see clearly the road. But it might be difficult, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't be on that road.
Well,
and if you see people that are out ahead of you on that road, they can be glorious examples on how you can navigate the rough spots in that road. It's like seeing a car out there dodge a pothole. Then you're like, oh, I got to dodge that pothole. And you dodge it. That's what I'm getting from this. You got to be a glorious example to the people that aren't there yet. That way they have something to look to, a sort of a blueprint. And everyone's journey is different, but you can take things from different people that who have paved a trail, paved a path, paved that road. And it's not such a huge lift. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. The wheel is there. Use somebody else's wheel, and you have to be willing to share that wheel. And there are coaches out there, people out there, there are mentors out there, there are bosses out there, and if they're doing their jobs right, they're sharing the tools that they've formed and forged and shared that to those other people. So you got to be willing in the process of creating those tools to share those with the people who haven't gotten to where you are. Yeah. So that's what I got. Am I on the right path?
You're on the right path. You're in the ballpark, speaking of ballpark, the Yankees are doing really well, by the way.
Yankees have had a hot start. Very nice. Red Sox are, little stumbles out of the gate, but they got a couple of hitters knocking the crap out of the ball. So,
well, speaking of hitters,
yes,
I want to remind people that in this, there's a lot of different things going on, especially with the climate. We have to say the stock market, had a dip on Friday. Thursday and Friday. Thank you. And here's the truth. If you're in your business and you're trying to get attention, remember that attention doesn't equal income. And that if you are in social media, your followers are not buyers. And even though you might be getting comments, they're not necessarily good conversations. We have to really be able to understand that building an audience, it's not enough. We have to create the path for people to go and get to the next level. And that means being part of our community.
I have to say that virality does not bring success, but relationships bring that success. And that's important to know. And it's okay it's great. Go viral. That's fantastic. Whatever. But it's the communication and the community and relationships that you grow is what makes if you're doing a business that actually brings that success.
Yeah. One of the things that on Wednesday, by the way, Dan, we had an open house in the Confident You Mastermind. And we did.
I wasn't invited.
Well, where were you? I don't know. I've been talking about this. The Confident You Mastermind was incredible on Wednesday because
was that my day job?
Oh, that thing you do in the daytime.
Yeah.
We had Jen Oliver, which her interview is going to be dropping probably in May sometime. But Jen Oliver and I talked about, the path to TEDx. And she is a TEDx organizer. She is also a TEDx speaker and coach. But really the one thing that she talked about is how to gain instant authority in your industry. And authority doesn't necessarily mean paid clients. You still have to turn that authority into leads, into clients. And that's a lot of what we're doing and focusing on the mastermind and how to be able to raise your revenue. Because I think that a lot of women that right now are running a business are running perhaps a hobby and it's not paying the bills. So really in the mastermind, we're going to be doubling down on how to, do what you're doing and do it in a way so that people actually say, hey, Julie, I want to be your client. Or, hey, Susie, can I pay you to give me this service? Or whatever it might be. So stay tuned for a lot of that because the mastermind has open doors and you'll be getting an invitation. And if you want to check out more about the Confident You Mastermind, you can certainly send me a message at julie@goconfidentlycoaching.com or on the show notes, there'll be some information. But don't miss the opportunity to create the peace of mind in an uncertain world. And having someone at your side can help you do that.
Hey, Julie.
Yes, Daniel.
I want to talk about something real quick.
About sex?
Funny you would say that. No.
Okay.
I do not want to talk about that.
What do you want to talk about now?
I want to give people a little teaser.
Oh.
You typically put out a Thursday solo episode.
Yes.
And if you're listening now, this Thursday's episode is not going to be a solo.
Oh, it's not. I'm not alone. I'm not alone in this world.
We're going to have an incredible friend.
A friend of the show, friend in real life.
Yeah.
Supporter of our dreams.
And a cool dude.
That's right. He is someone that we're so proud of the journey that he's been on and some of the work that he has just completed. He wrote a book and we are celebrating the launch of his book.
The book is called The Rest of the Man Show. And the guest and author is our former pastor here in West Hartford, Connecticut, Bill Lamori.
Mm-hmm.
And his book is dropping when, Julie?
It's dropping April 8th. And we are having a book party drop celebration Tuesday night. So if you're listening to this before Tuesday, April 8th, 2025, come join us in Facebook because we're going to be sharing these really cool stories about the book, the journey that Bill has been on. Yeah, that's it.
All right. So come join us on Thursday to listen to the episode that Julie recorded with Bill. But on Tuesday, how can they go find out how to get into the party? on Tuesday.
They can go follow me on Facebook if they haven't already been doing that. Julie DeLucca-Collins on Facebook and all the platforms. But if you tune into Facebook, we're going to be broadcasting live into Facebook on Tuesday.
Cool.
At 7 p.m. Eastern Time.
Nice. All right. I hope you guys go check that out. Wow. I haven't been talking much and my throat's all dry.
Maybe you should drink more water, Daniel.
Well, let's get on to our guest. I hope you enjoy this episode with Trish Stoecker and my Julie DeLucca-Collins. See, I called you mine.
I saw that.
Is that sweet or is that me being possessive?
It's a combo.
Never mind. Oh, wait. On with the episode.
Amazing. My friends, I have a treat because the individual that is visiting us at Casa de Confidence today is someone who I have deep admiration for. I have known for a couple of years now, and I get to hug her in person every so often. She is an incredible person, very smart. Her leadership skills are amazing, and she has done so many different things with her leadership skills. And she is in this new chapter of life, and I think that she can inspire all of us. But the more promising part of the conversation for you is that we're going to talk about sex. But most of all, I do want to focus on this wonderful friend and colleague and someone that you need to get to know. So my friend today is Trish Stoecker. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, this is a redo because the first time you and I had an interview, I didn't have my mic on. And although we could hear you, I really wanted to make sure that we have the most optimal show and sound and tech for you. So I'm excited and thank you so much for coming back.
Well, it's always fun.
It always is fun. Now, how did you and I meet? Why don't you tell the listeners that story?
We met through a mutual friend, Pearl Chirenza, and we met at her annual PJ retreat,
That's right.
gosh, 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, I think it's going to be 4 years. I can't believe it. Yeah.
And we hit it off immediately. So, and just have maintained our friendship and maintained a business relationship. And so there you go.
Yeah. And if you are not following Pearl, you really should. She is one of the most incredible women also that I know, and she surrounds herself with such incredible, high caliber, dynamic, superstars like Trish. But definitely follow Pearl. Her podcast is Soulful Self-Care Conversations, and you're going to love it. And I'm going to make sure that we link it here in the show notes. But Trish, I know that you have such a story to your life. You are not doing what you first started to do in your career. So tell a little bit of the story of how did you, because you were in the military, tell us a little bit more about that career, because I want to unpack some of that journey for the listeners.
Well, I was commissioned a second lieutenant in the United States Army in 1984. So I retired from there 32 years later in 2016. So I was deployed a couple of times, and I was in Iraq the second time when the whole war started, which was interesting. Deployed a second time to Kuwait. Spent a lot of time at the Pentagon, and was a military police officer, and then worked in force management. So it was quite a career.
It was quite a career for sure. And, I want to say thank you for your service. My uncle who passed away last week, he was also in the Army, and my brother was in the Army. My other brother was in the Air Force, and my dad was in the Air Force. So there's a little rivalry always in the family because of that. But I think that for most of us that see others that have, maybe especially women that have gone into a military career. And I know that, for instance, when I was in high school, that was not the path that a lot of women were taking. So you definitely were walking the less traveled path. What led you to want to do that?
Let's take a quick break.
What does it really take to build and grow a successful business?
Poor cash flow management. That's what kills businesses. What kills cash flow plans are when the unforeseen expenses pop up.
That's Mark Zweig and Eric Howerton, entrepreneurs who have spent decades building, scaling, and advising businesses across industries. Now, they're bringing their experiences straight to you on Big Talk About Small Business, where real entrepreneurs share real lessons, real strategies, and the truth about what it takes to succeed. Listen to Big Talk About Small Business today, available wherever you get your podcasts.
Well, I had a very idyllic childhood. I was very fortunate. My parents gave me pretty much, whatever I wanted. I had a great school career, and life was good. And so I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted something that my parents couldn't give me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was, I went through Army ROTC. I was also a police officer for a short period of time.
Okay.
So, I just wanted to do something that boldly go where no woman had gone before.
Yeah, well, I so admire women that do that, specifically because I think in our society, there's always roles that people try to define. I was listening to a book a couple of days ago, and one of the things that they were saying that the author was talking about, and it's Rachel Hollis, the author. If you haven't listened to her or read her latest book, I highly encourage you to do so. I think this is probably the book that I'm enjoying the most, but she was talking about how we as women in particular, we want to define ourselves by the rules that the society and other people have for us. And she talked about the story of a bonsai tree and how a bonsai tree is actually a real size tree. And yet it was put in a smaller container, right? And it blossomed there, but it has the potential to be so much more. And you decided to go and plant yourself in a larger container and really, I know that there was probably times in which it was a man's world where you were existing.
Oh, yeah.
Would you say that's accurate?
Absolutely. I was a victim of sexual harassment. I had toxic bosses. I mean, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
But there were times when I took it just one day at a time, literally.
Yeah.
And so, I looked at the bigger picture and tried to focus on that.
Yeah, I think that the big picture is definitely something to focus on. I remember I had a boss, and I never saw it as sexual harassment, but now hindsight is 2020. He once told me that when I sat in the conference room for the executive meetings, this is when I was first promoted to the VP level. He said, I love your slow, sexy voice, but you need to speak up a little more. And I'm like, oh, and I just focused on I need to speak up a little more. But why do we have to qualify? Like if he was giving a feedback to a guy, he wouldn't say, hey, your low, sexy voice. Hey, you're speaking softly, right? And it's such a difference how we are not only treated, but perceived in society overall. So I think that you started to really break some of these norms for other women that came behind you.
Well, when I first got in, it was Vietnam. There were still a lot of Vietnam era veterans, who were actual soldiers still in. And they had a very focused mindset on women and how they should be treated and how they, should act and so on and so forth. And I mean, you still get some of that today from the older generation, but that was something I definitely had to fight. Yeah. And so did my female peers. So it was very challenging at times.
Yeah. What was one of the most challenging periods? Because I know that you and I talked about that, but I'd love for you to share a little bit of your experience, because I think that we need to normalize, well, not normalize, but we need to share and bring to light some of the things that some of us have gone through, and that, It's not unheard of these days. And I think will continue to be a challenge for others as we move forward, although we've made some big strides thanks to the work that you've done. But tell me a little bit more about that experience.
Well, one of my bosses was actually a mobilized reservist, and I was on active duty, and he was in my position that I was supposed to be in, and I was taking a different position that I didn't want to be in. And when I finally raised my voice and said, hey, I don't want to be in this position anymore. I want to be in the position I'm supposed to be assigned to.
Mm-hmm.
He made it his job to make sure that I didn't get promoted any further. So he gave me a very weak evaluation report and told people that he was going to make sure that I didn't get promoted, and I didn't. So it was a career killer for me.
Do you think he was threatened by you and your ability to do the job probably much better than he did?
Absolutely. Plus, he was wanting to get an active duty pension. And so that was threatening to him that way.
That was right. Yeah, I think that, there's so many different ways in which we come into these difficult and challenging circumstances, and there's always a reason behind it. And a lot of times we end up making it mean something about us when it really is about the person that we are maybe in conflict with. Maybe they don't have the emotional intelligence, or maybe they are threatened and they have their own issues that they're dealing with. But ultimately, like I know there are many times in my career, I remember in my early 20s, I had a peer and we were both in the same position, and he was getting paid $20,000 more than I did. Not only that, but he was also, we had a lot of fun. I'm still very much friends with this person, but the organization that we worked with, even though I was doing a lot of the work and I was covering for him, they saw me as, the girl, the female, the one who would probably at one point leave and go and have babies. And maybe they didn't want to invest so much in me, even though I was 100% in, even though I was going above and beyond, even though I really wanted both of us to succeed. And it really was something that at the time I made it about me. I made it about what I didn't think I was enough. I didn't think I mattered. And it was mostly about me, but it wasn't about me. It was about the circumstances, about the people that were in charge and how they chose to run the organization.
Well, I have to tell you, it's taken me a lot of years and a lot of therapy to come to terms with that, because it affected the amount of money that I get for my pension. It affected how I'm treated as a retiree. And, life isn't fair. I know that, but this just kind of went above and beyond that.
Yeah. If there's a woman that's listening, Trish, and maybe, they're in a challenging circumstance, and, they're being passed for a promotion, or they're being not acknowledged for their ability and their skills, what are some words of wisdom and hope that you can share with them?
Well, I tried to go above and report this individual, and, the bureaucracy failed me there.
Yeah.
So that was a huge disappointment. I'm hoping that things have changed and reporting processes have also changed and gotten better for us. However, you have to, again, look at the big picture. Where do you want to go?
Yeah.
Who do you want to be in the future? Think 2 assignments ahead of where you are now and guide your career towards that. And if your current avenue is not beneficial for you, then find another one.
Yeah, I think that's, one of the biggest pieces of advice. And it's so sage that you're saying that, because in the moment, we tend to feel trapped. We tend to feel like this is it, there's nowhere to go. But really thinking about, where are you in the future? What does that look like? And then doing that reverse engineering to lead yourself in that path. So that's incredible advice. This is why I love Trish, everybody. And this is one of the things that she is so incredible at being able to kind of unpack for individuals, right? In a very easy to understand way. And Trish, you have again had this whole career. You retired from the military and you now have a brand new life. You are doing a lot of different things. And when it comes to, when I think at least, right, and maybe this is my own unconscious bias, but when I think of a woman in the military, I think one picture, right, that society tends to give us. But I would have never thought women in the military, kind of what you're doing. So tell us a little bit of what has been the twists and turns that had led you to where you are today. And what are you doing now?
Well, when I was in the service, the latter part of my service, I got an MBA. And so I knew I always wanted to start a business. I just wasn't sure exactly what kind of business I wanted to start. So when my husband and I moved to Florida, I had one idea, but then I went to a pure romance party. I was a plus one there. And the consultant who was doing the party was so much fun. And I thought, this looks very fun and could be lucrative for me. So I talked with her and decided that I wanted to go into the pure romance business. So 7 years later, in fact, it was 7 years yesterday.
Oh, congratulations.
And here I am.
Well, I think that sometimes things are put in our path, and I love that you pursued an MBA, and certainly you had that fire, that entrepreneurship fire that many of us feel. But like I would imagine, like many women, it's easier to follow a system in ways because you're taking less of a risk, I would say, in essence, than starting from scratch, trying to come up with an idea. But you are great at making the business your own, although you're working for a parent organization or working with, right? You're a consultant for a parent organization. You also have made this really your own. You create the structure for how you're running your business. You are quite successful. You're, in the top echelon of the company. And what I think has made that happen is not only your business acumen, but you're a really fun person. Why did you pursue pure romance? And for those people who don't know what pure romance is, I'd love for you to tell us more about that.
Well, Pure Romance is a bath, body, and intimacy product company. We do in-home parties, but we also, this is my office here. So I have office appointments. I have little kind of mini parties here where a gal can bring her girlfriend or her significant other here, and we can take a look at the products. They can tell me what is going on with their intimate life, and we can come up with some solutions for them.
Well, I think that's much needed.
Oh, I do too. And definitely it is because of the amount of interaction that I have with clients, and just, people get referred to me all the time. And I love it. I love helping women. I love helping relationships. I love helping women feel better about themselves.
Yeah. Well, I am a fan of the bath and body products, but the intimate products, I think it's another of the places where I'd love to kind of talk a little bit about, because we don't often talk about sex, and there's a couple different things that I would like to normalize, and this is why I feel so strongly to have a platform and to talk about them in Casa de Confidence. One is sex, another one is death, and another one is obviously current events too. But ultimately, sex is something that people stay away from. It's a very taboo subject. Has the conversation changed, and do you feel that organizations and entities, and even you as a consultant, right, for Pure Romance, have changed the narrative and the ability to be able to have more open and honest conversations about sex?
I think most definitely. I mean, with the advent of the internet and social media and porn sites, obviously, there's a plethora of information out there, and people oftentimes don't know what is right for them, what
Yeah.
is really real. So they need somebody that they can talk to help sort them out
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
with what it is that they want, what it is that is right for them, and just how they're interacting with their partner.
Mm. I think that, the lack of education at times, right? And I remember in high school, we have sex ed, but the amount of information, right, that I received was so minimal. And I look at friends that because of the minimal amount of information got in trouble. And a lot of people tend to say, well, sex ed doesn't belong in schools. It belongs at home. But there's times in which, my mom is a single mom. I don't know when she was going to talk to me about sex, being that she was working two jobs. And when she wasn't working, she was exhausted. And I was the oldest of three. And, a lot of times the responsibilities of being a mom to two younger girls, was a lot more. And I felt like there wasn't a lot of places where I could go get information. And now as a midlife woman, I know that there's other midlife women that maybe are living with misconceptions and living an unfulfilling physical intimate life because of their lack of education. And I consider you an educator. Tell me a little bit more about how does that equate to what you feel you are? Are you an educator when it comes to sex?
Absolutely. A lot of women just don't know, especially as they're getting perimenopausal or menopausal. They just don't have anybody to explain how their body is changing.
Yeah.
And, the fact that how lubrication is so important and how it
Tell
can
me
make
about it.
such a difference
Yeah.
with your experience with intimacy. It makes it much better for you. It doesn't have to be a chore.
Yeah.
It does, it doesn't have to be uncomfortable for you. We have many ways to help you experience pleasure. And pleasure is one thing that we should experience. So, it's just incumbent upon us to be able to explain it to others so that they can live a more fulfilling, intimate life.
Yeah. I know that pleasure is one of these things that a lot of times, especially coming from, and I came from a religious background, right? Sex was about procreation. It wasn't about pleasure. And it was always about, the guy being happy and pleasured, but the woman just kind of doing their duty.
Yeah.
I think that, it's so important that you are providing the type of education so that women can shed, right? Some of these long held beliefs that sex is about somebody else. It's a chore, it's a duty, but it can be such a beautiful thing for us as females, no matter where we are in life. And I think that, for instance, I remember in high school, my mom was in her 40s. And then as I got older, because she was divorced, remarriage was not something she was interested in. And I mean, like, she doesn't even talk about sex now that she lives with me, right? And she's kind of embarrassed about the conversation. Um, but we need to normalize that it's okay as a woman, no matter what your age is, to be pleasured and to take advantage of something that has so many benefits, health benefits at that.
Yes. And I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to mention that the benefits of orgasm are numerous.
Yeah.
It's good for your heart. It helps you sleep. It helps your when you
yeah, your oxytocin, all of
Yes.
these feel good,
Yes.
your oxytocin, your serotonin, all of the
Yep.
feel good hormones.
And it helps you
yeah.
prevent diseases.
Absolutely.
And I mean, it's just, it helps with headaches, literally. And I mean, it's just, there's so many benefits for having regular orgasms, blood pressure. I don't know if I mentioned that, but yeah, they're wonderful. And it also helps keep those tissues, brings blood flow to those tissues, the vaginal tissues, to help keep those nice and soft and supple, so that it is more comfortable for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So now I have encountered And I'm sad to say, thankfully, I'm not in that camp, but I have encountered women who have never encountered or had an orgasm.
Mhm.
And I think that this is a very common thing. Tell me a little bit about how can someone that maybe has never experienced an orgasm and maybe is not sure, what to do. Obviously, you can't walk us through what to do today, but you can tell us a little bit of some of the tools and tips and the things that you can share with them that can help them in this path to achieving something that is normal, but also so beneficial.
Definitely. I had a 72-year-old woman in here not too long ago who had never had an orgasm. And she came with a friend of hers, and her friend, she had never told anybody that. And so, her friend was like, "Oh my gosh, well, we have to remedy that." So, I mean, it's a question of allowing yourself to explore your own body.
Mm.
Giving yourself permission to do that. Because again, a lot of it is this cultural phenomenon of,
Mhm.
male dominated. Well, you're supposed to please the man, but not yourself.
Mhm.
No, that's not true. I mean, the clitoris is the only organ in men or women that was designed exclusively for pleasure. It has
Mm.
no other function.
Wow.
So why
That's
not take
huge, by the
advantage?
way. And I don't think a lot of people know that.
Yes. So why not take advantage of that?
Mhm.
And it's just a question of, we can talk about that. There are ways to explore what feels good for you. Every
Mhm.
woman likes her clitoris touched a different way. So, and a lot of it is a question of lubrication as well.
Right. Yeah, I think that that's such a good point. And one of the things that you offer is not only the body products that can facilitate something like that, but also you offer some of the fun toys that people can explore. Now, most people don't really talk about, what they have in their bedroom, but it's important to be able to have things that can spice up your love life or can help you in this path to discovering what you like and don't like. And then you can communicate that to your partner.
Well, one thing that's really important too is a lot of women do have difficulty achieving orgasm, and
Mhm.
it's not because of them. It's
Mhm.
because of either medications that they're taking for blood pressure or maybe antidepressants or some other medication that has sexual side effects.
Yeah.
It could be that they have that they're not able to concentrate on themselves because for us, orgasms are mainly up here,
Yeah.
where
In your
for men,
brain.
it's a question of blood flow. So we have products called enhancements that do enhancement creams that you apply directly to your clitoris. It brings blood flow to that area and
Mhm.
helps get you over that edge. So you
Yeah.
don't have to, it takes a woman an average of 20 minutes to achieve orgasm. And, you see in the movies where,
Wow.
it's like, 30 seconds and a woman
No, not at
has
all.
orgasm. That is, I mean, there are women that can do that, but
Right.
lucky for them
Lucky
that they
for
can
them.
do
Yeah.
that, but not for the rest of us.
Yeah.
So, that's a huge myth that needs to be dispelled that, for a lot of women, it's not an easy
Mhm.
thing to achieve.
Yeah. So now you unpacked a little something different, but I definitely want to address that because I think that you also can help someone in this path. Now, most women, like you said, takes to at least mostly 20 minutes to get there. And honestly, a lot of
That's the
times
average.
an average, correct. And I think for us women, right, sex and pleasure and orgasm really begins in the brain. And when we are dealing with the dirty dishes, when we're dealing with like, hey, I need to go run that errand, and what about this? It's very difficult to shut off our mind. But now let's say we get into the mood and we're there. If we are a midlife woman, we are most likely married to a midlife man. And that encounters, I would say, the other challenge, right? Because can the man wait 20 minutes? And what can we do or, in couples avail themselves of to be able to kind of equalize and have the woman. You obviously talked about the products that can help stimulate the clitoris, but now let's talk about what can we do so that the guy lasts longer.
Well, we have toys called C-rings. They are constriction rings. They keep the blood flow in the penis. So once the guy achieves an erection, he can keep that erection, going so that they can, have intercourse for a longer period of time. There's also, guys, just as they get older, they are experience a lot of erectile dysfunction. There's a plethora of advertisements for medications out there. And a lot of them are good. Some men respond to them, some men don't. I'm an advocate of them seeking advice from their doctor when that happens, because every man is different when it comes to that. There's different hormone levels that they can have treated and so forth. But I'm not a medical doctor, so I don't want to, give advice on that. I just say seek advice from your doctor.
Yeah, absolutely. And by no means, is this, like you said, medical advice. And obviously what we want to provide is a way in which you can spice things up, as long as you're also checking with your doctor. And all of us are very different. We're in different paths when it comes to our health. Now, you are, though, pursuing something that's very exciting. And as your coach, I'm excited for you on this. You are expanding a little bit of what you're going to be doing when it comes to supporting women, specifically women in midlife. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay. Yes, I am going to this summer start my education to become a menopause coach.
What does that mean?
Okay, that means that I will have a lot more information about women who are going through menopause and how to give them advice on how to treat that and be better served by, going through life and being more comfortable and addressing the symptoms of menopause.
Why a menopause coach? You already are doing a lot of educational programs. You really help women, like you talked about. Women can come and have a consultation with you, but why pursue specifically a coaching certification with menopause?
Oh my gosh, Julie, there's such a need for it out there.
I agree. I agree with you 100%.
I run into it all the time. Women are like, oh my God, I have hot flashes. I'm going through menopause. I don't know what to do. What does this mean, for my body? I don't have an interest in sex anymore. That's pretty common. And
that's pretty common.
Address that. And I'm very excited to be able to learn all about that and be able to give that information out to my friends and my clients.
Yeah. I think that this is such an exciting opportunity for you specifically, because you are such a gifted educator. And I truly mean that. I have been in spaces where you are teaching and sharing, but also what I love about your teaching style is that it's not very dry. You can have fun as we're learning things. And I think that is so needed. And women in menopause, again, we don't talk about that. It's been sort of this underlying thing that happens, but nobody has all the information. So having educators and people that they can talk to like you is definitely something that we all need. And there's a big void, in having you is definitely going to be a big gift for others. Now, what is one thing that women in menopause don't know that they should know?
When your estrogen levels drop, your vaginal tissues dry out. So you might get itchy. It makes intercourse painful. So I highly recommend that you use a personal moisturizer, whether that be a water-based lubricant or something else that you insert twice a day to help give those tissues extra moisture, keep them soft and supple, and keep them from atrophying. Because once they atrophy, there's kind of no coming back from that. So
there's no coming back from atrophy?
No.
How does
it's like,
someone know if they're in atrophy? This is interesting. I didn't know that. See, I'm learning something. What happens, and what are the symptoms for
they
somebody?
shrink and
Oh,
dry out, and
okay.
just it's it's not what you want if you want to
Mhm.
maintain an active intimacy life, but it also isn't comfortable for you
Yeah.
because you can get vaginal dryness, you can get
Mhm.
itching, it's uncomfortable. So
Yeah. Well, I think that this is something that, certainly I learned something. And for us women, again, it's such a natural part of life and it can be something that can help us. I wonder, you said to use the lubricants twice a day, even for someone who doesn't have a partner. Is that recommended?
absolutely. And
Okay.
just because you don't have a partner doesn't
Mhm.
mean you can't have an intimate life with yourself.
Oh, okay. So, what are some of the tools that people can use to have an intimate life if they don't have a partner?
Well, we have a number of toys, different types of toys,
Hmm.
both that will stimulate your clitoris and stimulate your G spot, or both at the same time. And, there's
Hmm.
videos out there and there's other kinds of stimulation because, again, we're
Hmm.
up here. So
Yeah.
if you're into, porn or the other kinds of videos like that, then that's something that you might want to
Hmm.
think about. So there's nothing wrong with having an intimate relationship with yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's a healthy, healthy thing to have. And honestly, if whether it be a physical, intimate relationship with yourself or also in your spirit, we often talk about that relationship and loving ourselves and journaling and being compassionate to ourselves. But we always talk about it from the perspective of the mind, the heart, the spirit. But I think that the physical part is also something that we often neglect.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like it's every bit as important as
Mhm.
exercise and taking care of
Absolutely.
yourself and eating right
Mhm.
and all that. Because, again, benefits of orgasms.
Yeah. And for someone that maybe is a little apprehensive and maybe, they're not ready to sit down in your office or have a Zoom consultation, what are some of the ways and maybe they can dip their toe and kind of start to learn more from you or be be in a place where they can begin to explore some of these things that maybe in a couple of years ago or even now they're apprehensive. They're thinking, I don't know, how do I dip my toe in the water?
On my personal website,
Hmm.
pureromancebytrish.com, I have a blog, and I explore a lot of different topics, including products,
Hmm.
enhancing relationships,
Yeah.
um, new technologies, all sorts of different topics. And
Hmm.
the individual can go and just take a look at
Yeah.
those, see if there's anything that they want to ask more questions on. I'm always available. They can contact
Hmm.
me through my website. I'm very responsive. Or they can just read, and there are links in there to products or some other different websites. So it's very
Hmm.
informative.
It's very informative for sure. Now, I would definitely be remiss if I didn't kind of dig into another topic that I feel it's very relevant to many of our listeners. You are an incredible businesswoman. You are someone that I am so proud of the work that you do. You told me today that you are about to almost make your goal for the month of February. We're in February. But I have seen you in the last few months, years, really exceed some of the goals that you had for your business. Tell us a little bit about what your secret is and how, do you get to a point in which you are running a successful business? And obviously, I have some reasons why I know that you're doing this, but I would love to share your opinion.
Well, I mean, there's no easy answer to it. Running a
Mhm.
business is a lot of work.
It sure
Anybody who
is.
says differently is not telling you the truth.
A hundred
So for
percent.
7 years, I mean, I have put plenty of blood, sweat, tears, and money
Mhm.
into my business.
Yeah.
And now I'm finally starting to reap a lot of the benefits of it. But
Mm,
I stay on top of it.
you do.
I am very responsive to customer questions. I, I watch every day what I'm doing, how I'm making responses on my website, my advertising, all of that.
Yeah.
And I'm not perfect. I still have a lot to learn.
Listen,
But
who is perfect and who knows it all? Not me, that's for sure.
But I try to learn something new every day and try to
You
implement
do.
it. And believe me, I do learn something new every day.
And you are a sponge. And that's one of the things that I admire about you, whether it be for your business or for your personal life or for the community. You're always putting yourself out there and really knowing that, learning and gaining knowledge helps you. But what I love about you is that you don't keep it to yourself. You continue to share it with others. And that's one of the reasons that you're such a magnet for people to love what you do, and you are a supporter. Now, one of the things that I know that you do a lot of, and I think this is part of the secret sauce to your success, is you are also very active in the community. What prompts you to be active in the community? And tell us a little bit about your involvement in some of the community where you live.
Well, I'm admin for some women's groups here. I do a lot of networking, especially women's networking, but I'm also members of chambers of commerce. So you have to get out there
Yeah.
and get your message out there. And once you do, and people learn to trust you, because it's know, like, and trust. That's why people want to do business with
Yeah.
you. So once you become that go-to person, then things will start to snowball when you get more referrals and you're trusted in the community.
You have an incredible referral business. And I know that this is one of the reasons why you continue to grow. It's not the only reason. I know, and I want to point out something that you are also very good at. You're consistent, and you also have many processes in the background. You look at your numbers as well consistently. And this is something that a lot of women don't do, looking at their numbers, and really they're afraid sometimes of the numbers. What's your piece of advice for someone that it maybe doesn't understand, and especially if they're selling product, right? What is their margin of profitability, and why is it important for them to have processes and look at numbers?
I look at every order and how much the order costs,
Yeah.
from the postage to shipping materials to the cost of the product
Yeah.
itself. And every order, I come up with how much I've made on that particular order. But with my monthly goals, I keep track of daily, and
Yeah.
also how much I need to make every day to reach my goal. So, I mean, it's become kind of habit for me now, and I look forward to it, except, occasionally I'll hit a month where I might be a little bit lower than my goal. Then I look and see what could I have done better, and the process is there.
Yeah. I think that, that definitely is one of your strengths, is being able to look at that. And for many women, you know, we, I've seen people come up with random numbers. I'm going to price my services at this, or I'm going to do that, but they don't really understand what the ramifications are. And I think that that's something that sets you apart and allows you to be successful. Now, you are part of a larger entity. You're part of Pure Romance. Now, not everybody wants to go out on their own. And what are some of the benefits of being part of a larger network like Pure Romance?
Well, we have weekly calls with our CEO, and he tells us exactly what's going on with the company, what new products are coming out,
Yeah.
what new products are leaving the inventory, what's coming up. I mean, how the trends are. I mean, that's a huge thing. We have a call every week for, top sellers. We have other, in our website, we have training materials constantly available. We have just all kinds. We have Facebook pages.
Wow.
And I'm a member of probably a dozen different Pure Romance web pages where we talk about strategies and how we're doing
Yeah.
certain things. And so our CEO always says, stay a student. So that's what we do.
Stay a student. I think that that's excellent advice. Now, I know that you are the constant student, Trish, and you are always learning to grow. And in the process, you're helping others. What is the one thing that if, we talked about so many different things and I could probably talk to you for hours, but what is the one takeaway that would be an easy implementable thing for the woman listening, maybe while they're in their car or kind of, have never had an orgasm, or maybe their relationship with their spouse or even themselves is sort of on hiatus. What would be an easy implementable thing that they can do to kind of move in the right direction of building up a healthy intimacy life?
Get a good lubricant, a good basic lubricant.
Okay.
Water-based, pH balanced. We have one, but it's called Just Like Me. But definitely a good lubricant. Use it on yourself, use it on your partner, and I will guarantee your experience will be 100% better than what it is now.
Well, I love that. And by the way, Trish has a wonderful website. She is a master in this website business. And I love that she also has a newsletter and she keeps in touch and she sends that regularly so that we can be informed, educated, and also hear about things that are relevant to us. So you want to tell everybody how do they get in your newsletter or visit your website?
My website is www.pureromancebytrish.com. You can scroll to the bottom and sign up for my newsletter, or at any time on any of the blogs, you can sign up for my newsletter. And I try to send them out weekly. Sometimes I don't make it, but you'll be informed of all the sales that are coming up. I try to do a product sale every week. I feature a product on sale every month. Right now it's our Nourishing Body Lotion, which I absolutely love.
Ooh.
And so it's a third off.
Okay. Oh, that's a good deal. That's a good deal.
It's a real good deal. So, just take a look at it. It's very easy to navigate. It has lots of nice pictures on it and information about products and services.
Well, I love it. And I am so grateful that, you're a part of my universe. I'm so grateful that people can get the opportunity to learn about you, but more importantly, be inspired by you. Now, one of the things that you've put in the back burner, but I would not be a good person if I didn't mention this, because I want the listeners to not only follow you, give you love and maybe become your clients. But Trish has been talking about doing a book. It's in the back burner, but I want you, the listener, to encourage her and support her in this journey, not only as she gets her coaching certification for women in midlife and menopausal women, but also, to pursue and to share her story, because her story is powerful, it's inspirational, and will help many of us as we continue to go in this journey. We can't do it alone. Trish, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a lot of fun.
As always, a lot of fun for sure. Well, my friends, I'm going to have all the information for Trish in the show notes. Please give her some social currency. Go and follow her. Go to her website, sign up for her stuff. Tell her how much you love this episode and what was one thing that you really enjoyed hearing from her. And until next time, I'm appreciative of you, the listener. Go confidently in the direction of your dreams, my friends. Until next time. Bye, Trish.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Casa de Confidence. We thank you for listening, and if you want more, go to casadeconfidencepod.com. Check Julie out on her socials as Julie DeLucca-Collins. And you can also check out her website at goconfidentlycoaching.com. Have a great week, and don't forget, go confidently in the direction of your dreams.
Hi, everybody. I know that sometimes we get very lonely in this entrepreneur journey, and I want to invite you to join us into our limited time only Purposeful You Mastermind. For many of us entrepreneurs, we believe that we can do it all, but the reality is that doing it alone only creates a lot of overwhelm. So join us at the Purposeful You Mastermind. You can find out more information by going to bit.ly/Julie's Mastermind. This is going to be the place where you are able to then unlock your full potential and achieve long-term success for your business, push you behind your current limits, expand your connections, discover new ideas, and implement them with confidence. You're going to get the support in all aspects and transforming you to the six-figure business you've been looking for. Pause and get off the hamster wheel if you've been spinning around. This is a time where you can get that support from like-minded entrepreneurs that are here to join you in your journey. Together, we can challenge the assumptions and land the speaking engagements and opportunities we want to grow our business and make an impact in the lives of people. See you then. Remember, you can find the mastermind at bit.ly, Julie's Mastermind.